What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of the 5 Takeaways, where we're going to take a look at the 1-0 defeat at the London Stadium yesterday and see what 5 points we can take away from that game. And you know what? Look, it wasn't the most disastrous game in the world, was it? When you look back at some of the performances we've had this season against Arsenal, against Chelsea, against Crystal Palace, the 4 London derbies that we have been defeated in this season, this was nowhere near those levels, was it?
Yeah, I think it's just a case of, because the other games came before it, you know, it seems worse. But if this game came in, or if we were in good form and then this performance came, I don't think everyone would be going crazy. But because of the way we've been playing,
and there's also the opposition as well.
Yeah, it was a massive shame. I didn't think it was the worst performance in the world, but obviously we need more.
Yeah, definitely. That's also definitely true. But let's start off with the first takeaway, and that is unlucky Romero.
Yeah, so Christian Romero really had a really good game throughout, really dealing with Antonio throughout the game. He made 5 interceptions, most on the pitch during the game. He won 3 of his 4 aerial duels. He won 2 of his 2 ground duels as well, and also completing 1 dribble throughout the game, which obviously nearly led to a Spurs goal on the counter-attack. He was a catalyst for many Tottenham attacks as well. Most of the attacks you can think of started with Romero winning the ball back and Tottenham pouncing, and he was unlucky that we were on the losing side, because I think he was one of the players who really tried to drag us to victory yesterday, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and you can see, I keep saying it, but you can really see the quality that he shows, the quality that he has, and for me, I think he's absolutely miles ahead of any of the centre-backs we have, and we're lucky to have him. He's an absolutely top quality player, and I'm excited to see how the season unfolds for him, because he really is starting to strike stuff now, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move over to the second takeaway, and that is SKIPP and HOJBJERG test.
So we were saying before the game that this is probably their biggest test they've had in terms of being in a double pivot, and they played well against Villa and Newcastle, but they need to step up in this game if they're really going to be our starting central midfielders going forward or for the long term. And West Ham actually pressed Spurs more than any other team has pressed Tottenham this season, which goes to show that shows what much of a test this was. That we knew that we were going to be pressed more, but despite West Ham pressing Tottenham more than any other team, Tottenham were able to progress the ball, set the second most amount of times this season than any other game they've had, and also were able to progress the ball into the final third, the third amount of times. So it shows they were actually fairly capable of coming up against West Ham press and still able to come up strong and able to progress the ball. However, Spurs did struggle to progress the ball into the penalty area, doing it the second least times. So it showed they were able to get to the final third, but into the penalty box, not so much. That was where the sticking point came. So you would say that SKIPP and HOJBJERG did decent in the middle third, but beyond that, that's where we struggled. And it was also the third time in a row our pressing was at a over 30% success rate. So it seems to gain consistently a lot better, our pressing.
Yeah, and you could see that on the pitch, even from the eye test. I thought SKIPP and HOJBJERG both playing really well. HOJBJERG, his passing letting him down yesterday, I'm afraid, but I think SKIPP, I was really impressed with him. And I mean, that through ball, I can't remember who it was to, but that through, was it to Kane? That through ball, just knife through butter through the whole team. Ndombele, sorry, through the whole team of for the whole West Ham team. So they're definitely capable, and like I said before, I'm looking forward to seeing how the season progresses for them, because I think we've finally found our base in the midfield now.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Let's move on to the third takeaway, and that is surging Reguilon, pun intended.
So Reguilon was providing Tottenham's main outlet yesterday in terms of really trying to get the ball into the final third and create chances. He had 8 crosses yesterday, 3 of them accurate, which was more than any other player on the pitch. And he also had 2 key passes, which was the most out of any Tottenham player. He was really unlucky with a few good crosses not to get an assist, especially from Harry Kane, whose header forced a brilliant one-handed save from Fabianski. And I thought Reguilon, by and large, a few of his crosses went wayward, but by and large, he actually provided quite a good outlet and decent delivery as well. So he did obviously cause a mistake, which led to the goal, but I thought he was actually had another decent day, Reguilon.
Yeah, and I think that Reguilon has started off this season really well. When you cast your mind back to last season, the last half of the season, he was actually really poor. But he's come back fresh this season, and he's looking very, very dangerous, like he was looking when he first joined us. He's marauding down that left-hand side of the pitch. I think his defensive game has got better as well. And he's providing quality moments for us. Yes, there were quite a few crosses that didn't find their intended target, but there were good crosses in there where the attackers in the box should have done a lot better with the service provided. So keep going as you're going, Reguilon, because you're playing well at the moment. That's for sure. So let's move on to the fourth takeaway, and that is forward problems.
So Spurs forwards really had a few opportunities to do a lot more in the final third than they were able to do yesterday. They really should have had more shots and goal. Everyone looks at the stats and say no shots, but it wasn't because we didn't get in the positions. We just didn't take the efforts, and I think that goes down to the forward issues. Kane, Son and Lucas each having only one shot each throughout the game. Spurs actually had the second most touches in the final third against West Ham than they had in any other game this season, but they had the second least in the penalty area, which goes to show that we didn't have too much of an issue getting into the final third throughout the match. But when it really came to hurting West Ham in the penalty area and actually putting them to the sword, getting shots on goal, and when we got into the final third a few times without making that final pass, and those forwards really have to start being more consistent in their output.
Definitely. And, there's countless amount of moments during that game where, like you said, great positions and failing provide that quality at the end. Harry Kane a number of times, Son, Ndombele, so many players. So, like I said before at the start of the video, I think that we actually played well yesterday, but it was all about the kind of quality in the final third, and that bears out in everything my brother just said. So let's move over to the fifth and final takeaway, and that is sixth Spurs.
So despite the loss, that's 4 defeats in 9 games, but 5 wins, sees us currently sitting 6th after 9 games, 2 points off top 4, but also 2 points off 11th. So it really is fine margins depending where we are at the moment. We've got Burnley in the cup, obviously in midweek, but then Ollie's Man United. Well, maybe we'll see if it's Ollie's Man United.
It will be Ollie's Man United.
You're hoping so? Yeah,
Dr. Tottenham.
Are coming up next, so they are currently sitting in 7th, 1 point behind us. So it's a very crucial game. I wonder do you reckon Tottenham are currently in a false position in 6th, or what do you think?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because the teams around us as well everyone is just really inconsistent, aren't they? But I think when you look at the stats. When you look at the chance created stats, when you look at all those stats that we've been analysing quite a bit throughout the season, maybe we are in a bit of a false position.
When you look at goals scored, we've scored the lowest in the top half.
-4 as well, worst goal difference in the top half.
But goals conceded, we're probably about midway, so we're not like the worst. But
goal difference.
Goal difference is minor because we scored the least in the top half, that's why. Goal difference.
And
we scored less than Newcastle.
A fair amount,
We scored less than Newcastle this season.
Well, there you go. I think on the balance of play of how we've been this season, I think maybe we are in a false position. But in terms of personnel in the squad, personnel in the starting 11, maybe we're not in a false position.
Well, Man United coming up next, so it's going to be the battle of the bottle jobs at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. They're calling it the El Sacico.
El Sacico. We'll see how it goes.
All right. So that is our 5 takeaways. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any other thoughts regarding the 5 takeaways. Let me know your takeaways in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.